Catering Calls with Hitesh Sharma, founder of Taste Studio Dubai.
Thank you so much, Hitesh, for joining me on this episode of Karishma Connect. It's a pleasure to have you, and I'm so happy that you've made the time. Thank you so much, means a lot.
Most welcome. Pleasure's all mine.
Now, the first question I asked on this podcast is tell me about your journey so far. I'm sure it's been a wonderful one. Fill out some details for me, please.
Specifically with respect to Taste Studio, my journey
No,
has been
the background before that. Please go ahead.
oh, background before that. Also, I'm from Bombay, Mumbai, India. I did my masters in marketing management and always looked to do a good job in a big MNC in the marketing field. Use my experience, my education, and put it to a good place. Uh, However, things didn't pan out right, and I believe I just went down the road. I followed the footsteps of my father and started my own business way back in 2012 when I entered Dubai. I mean, I did have small businesses or small passion projects in Mumbai as well while I was there, but they weren't really in the going forward to becoming a big business like the current one has. So when I moved to Dubai, I started off in the food industry, not into catering,
Okay.
in food stuff trading, and from there on, kept meeting people from the industry. And 4 years down the line, an opportunity came to open my own catering company, and that's what has happened. That was the birth of Taste Studio Catering.
Interesting. Interesting. What's the difference? Because this is a question I faced when I was drafting the context for this interview, um, which was how is it different? I don't think people would know as much. How is it different from your normal food and beverage space to be doing catering? What are the different kind of opportunities?
All right, so first thing that pops up into most people's mind when you say the word catering, they think it's for weddings, it's for large events, and that's about it. However, catering is diversified into multiple fields. It's not just for weddings, it's not just for um, large events. We do catering for small gatherings at home. We do catering for corporates on a daily basis for their management and higher management. We do large events as well, and we do a lot of private parties, sit down dinners, pass around service. So, if you ask me in a nutshell, catering is anything wherein food is served, not in a restaurant.
When you go into a restaurant, you are pretty much there's a story that's built around the restaurant. Whereas in catering, what I understand from my limited knowledge is you're building a story around every customer because you are if it's a corporate, number one, you're kind of looking at what the needs are for that corporate, or if it's a wedding, you're looking at what kind of a theme is that wedding following. Tell me about that process a little bit.
It's a very intense and diversified process, to be honest. We have different divisions in house. Each division have their own roles and responsibilities. Um,
Mm.
it starts off with the business development team who takes in the inquiries of the customer, be it a corporate, be it a private client for a small dinner at home, or be it for a large event like a wedding event or a concert. We take in all the details from the customer, and we customize the menu and their requirements for food first. Then the operations team and the event planning team gets in touch with the customer, speaking to them about their requirements in terms of service, in terms of decor,
Mhm.
and then we execute the entire thing. So it's not just one single person dealing with the customer, it's two three different teams, to be honest, that
Yeah.
take in the requirements of the customer and then execute the same. So it's if you ask me, it's like a event management company wherein we're doing primarily everything, but we won't get into doing the event management if the food is not from us. But once you take the food from us, we provide you with the other services as well.
Okay.
related to the food and related to the decor around the food
Mm.
and all the requirements required for the food to
Yeah.
be enjoyed by the guests in the best way or in the way you want it to be. Yeah, served.
Tell me about setting up a food business. What have you learned along the way? What are the kind of challenges and opportunities you've faced, especially in the region?
Let me start with the opportunities. With Dubai being a very diverse market in terms of the different nationality of people and the different genre of people that live here, and the different and people that come and go, who have been traveling around the world or been from different parts of the world. We got to get into multiple services of catering, which we
Mm.
hadn't originally started from. So we learned a lot from the customers' requirements, and we
Yeah.
realized, yeah, it's possible to do it. So therefore, we provide various variety of services along with the food. Like I
Mm.
mentioned, a few, it could be sit down dinners, it could be pass around service, store launches, formal dining, event catering, and so on, so on. So uh, those are the opportunities which I don't think you would get as much as you get in Dubai. As much that you get in Dubai, you won't get it in different parts of the world anywhere probably, because Dubai is diverse in terms of the
Yes.
cultures, in terms of the people that live here. In terms
Yeah.
of challenges, with the food industry, you have to be very, with food, not industry, with food, you have to be very careful because the smallest error could
Mm.
result in a catastrophe,
Mm. Very true.
health wise, for somebody who's taking it in. So, the challenge initially was to follow all the steps, which was very intense and time consuming. But over the years, we have developed systems and developed processes wherein the whole process is now, or the whole journey to
Mm.
dish out food is
Mm.
pretty much simplified, and the team is very much aware, and we don't need to spend so much time and energy over following the processes, and everything has been touchwood hunky dory for the past
Mm.
8.5 years that we've been serving over 2,500 customers.
Yeah. And you've had
Yeah.
some top-notch clients from what I've seen. And that's,
Yeah.
first of all, congratulations on kudos to you for, achieving that. What
Thank
I
you.
want the listeners to kind of, most welcome. What I want the listeners to kind of gauge from that is how have you managed to spread? Because word of mouth is not easy. It's one of the most powerful tools, but it's also not easy as getting your followers in. How have you managed to do that?
So I'll first speak about the corporate clients who we serve. Most of them are MNCs or big SMEs or big local companies.
Yeah.
Trust me, it's been through word of mouth.
Mm.
It's the reviews online and the references from our existing clients that help us reach out to the new clients, and they call us because they've heard good good reviews or good feedback, not just about our food but also about our service, about our punctuality, about our decor, about all the other factors that go into providing a catering service to a corporate,
Mm.
and that too not just a one time but over a regular basis.
Mm.
So
Mm.
when you do it consistently well, it becomes really easy for getting a reference. And most of the times, to be honest, we didn't even need to ask our existing clients to refer us to somebody else. They have spoken to their friends, family members working in other offices or within the network which the HRs are, or the marketing managers are. They just, oh, you know what? We got the service from these guys. We've been using them for over a year. Why don't you try them? And we get a call saying, hi, I got a reference from this one.
Mm.
After we get the call, then we go back to our existing client saying, thank you for referring us. We didn't, we just got a call saying you referred us. So the word of mouth, the references are majorly the way that we've grown organically forward. Obviously, online, our presence on social media as well as Google. The reviews over there, that's another tool that has enabled us to get more inquiries and more clients. And at the end of the day, it's all about our consistency in our service and our food that's
Yeah.
resulted in all of this. Yes.
How can it help? How can it add to their culture basically as a workplace? Because you also do that, right?
Oh
You
yeah, 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 yeah.
how can it kind of influence the culture aspect?
So I had made a video and shared online years back about this
Mm,
topic,
mm,
with the data from years back. Each individual, when in office, spends a minimum of 30 minutes
mm,
thinking of what to eat, where to order from, and deciding and finally ordering. And
mm,
then waiting another 30 minutes at least
mm,
for the food to arrive.
mm,
So, productivity wise,
mm.
the company is losing at least an hour of productivity from that individual just because that individual is looking to uh, eat some food.
Yeah.
And in a working day of 8 hours or 10 hours or 9 hours, how many ever hours are there at their disposal for the company,
Mm,
they've lost an hour straight up. And if you're there for 8 9 hours, you're gonna
mm,
feel hungry again for snacks, and then you'll waste a little more time over there. So with contractual catering, it benefits the corporate or the company a lot, wherein we're serving multi-cuisine food, which is never repeated for over 4 weeks. So over a month, every dish, every day is different. The genre would remain the same. You'd have A, B, C, X, Y, Z, salads, main courses, appetizers, desserts, beverages every day, but they won't be
mm,
repeated. So you'd not get bored as an employee eating that food, point one. Two, you're not going to be wasting time thinking what to order, then deciding, and then waiting for the food to come, because you just need to walk into the pantry where the
mm,
whole buffet setup is done, and
mm,
you'll take 2 minutes to decide, I want to eat this, I want to eat this, and that's it. You've already eaten. Within 30 minutes, you're already done with your lunch.
mm. There's no
So,
time spent in thinking about it. Yeah, very true.
one is that. The second is the freshness of the food that is provided in a buffet is a
Mm,
lot more than the packed meals that you get through Talabat.
yeah.
Um, Third is the dining experience. I'm sure you'd agree.
Mm,
It's more enjoyable to eat in a plate with a spoon and a fork and a knife
yes.
rather than eating out of a box.
Yeah. Very true.
So these
Very-
3 points really get to HRs and office managers of companies and take a decision that, we'd rather have the food provided to our team within
mm.
the office than leaving them to figure out what they want to order.
And what are your thoughts around food waste and sustainability? How are you kind of navigating that? Because that is very much um, a consideration right now in the industry as well.
Yeah. So we have a quantity control team in house in addition to the other teams that are there in most catering companies.
Mm,
The quantity control team is vastly experienced in terms of what quantity of food can be consumed by an individual when they have so much variety of food. And we do go a step forward, we do a step extra while discussing with the client.
mm,
We figure out the nationality of guests in terms of how many percentage of what guests are there. And when we do provide a multi cuisine buffet, for example, if we have majority of Indians within a
mm,
company,
mm,
and less Arabs and less Filipinos and less Europeans, and
mm,
the menu is diverse, we definitely give more quantity of Indian and a lesser quantity of the
mm,
other cuisines for that company. And and since we're doing it regularly, within servings or 3 days of servings, we get a very clear understanding of what quantity of what dish should be given
mm,
because we've understood their requirements.
mm,
Additionally, the staff that is serving there also takes in the inputs, does a mini survey while serving, and
mm,
passes on the information they have or the understanding they have to the quantity control team, and that really helps us control wastage of food.
Yeah,
um,
yeah, very important.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Especially in the space you're in, because it's not, like I said, it's not order and that's about it. Your order
yeah.
is what you, it's a vast quantity that you're dealing.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yes, we needed to have this, one for sustainability, two for our in-house benefits as well. So
Can you elaborate a bit on that? Can you elaborate a bit on how these techniques are actually good in turn for the business as well beyond sustainability?
food wastage results in higher food cost. Higher food cost results in more expenses to the
Mm,
company or to the business. So
mm,
the amount, the more you can reduce it, the better it is for your P&L. It's as simple as that.
yeah. And where does automation fit into all this? Because there is a lot of automation that is happening, although I feel, as far as my knowledge goes, maybe it's not as much because in the food industry, there's the humans always the center. But where does automation step in?
So automation in the food industry enables the swiftness of delivering an order, mainly when it's individual portioned orders, and also automation in terms of recipes helps to keep the consistency of food. Um, that's a pretty elaborate process. And majorly the automation that is available in the food industry, be it with respect to the two topics that I said. Additionally, um, if you have a large volume of packed meals like the airline caterings have, you need to have the automated conveyor belt and the portion cups coming out. So it operationally also it helps over there, but primarily automation in the food industry is more beneficial for packed meals or individual meals, not really for catering service, to be honest. Yeah.
Interesting. And tell me, Hitesh, your a huge part of what you do is also about sourcing the right chef or the right taste maker.
Yeah.
What have you learned, or what are some of the tips that you can share about finding that right? Because a chef literally makes or breaks the deal for any food brand, and I say this out
True.
of personal experience
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Wherein sourcing a chef is not as easy as sourcing anybody else.
Yeah.
What have you learned, figured out about that process over the years?
It's a trial and error process. It's a trial and error process, and obviously the ones who are consistent and they're good, they stick around. We've got 90% of our team that's more than 6 years with us. That's been working with us for more than 6 years. Some of them have been working for more from day we started. So when you find the right talent, you got to keep them happy, and they'll give you the best they can. And that's the way forward in terms of sourcing the right people. I wouldn't just say it's chefs; it's every single person in every single organization.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
very true. My last question to you is, as an entrepreneur, what are some of the tips that you can share with the audience about starting up their own, and that too in a field that may not be as common as people think, as the other industries, per se?
Um, my tip would be obviously first do your study and research before opening up any business in any industry. Um, do the analysis whether it's a sustainable business, is it overcrowded, that space is overcrowded or no. Don't just uh, start off a passion project and invest millions and millions in there, and then realize, oh, this was not the space wherein my idea would gonna work, or this is not the country, or this is not the industry. That's one, just before starting. Second, when you do start after doing the right research, don't give up. Don't give up. While you're working, do not look or act desperate for business.
Mm,
Just do the right thing in terms of what you're doing.
mm,
If you're doing it right and you're doing it good,
mm.
references and reviews will come in, which will then result in business. The minute you start compromising on your cost, on your production, on your operations, because you want to keep your team busy because there's no work or there's less orders, that's where you start going wrong.
True.
So grow gradually, grow organically,
Mm.
have patience.
Mm.
Obviously, there's a cut-off time. I mean, even after being patient and doing it all right, if you still see nothing coming in,
Mm.
then either you're not marketing it right,
Mm.
or you're not serving or supplying right. One of the two.
Mm.
But if you're doing both of them and it's still not happening, then I guess you go back to the point one. This is not the market for your product, and then you give up. Then you should just let go
Yeah.
without having any emotional connection to your business. That's another
Yeah.
tip. Don't be emotionally connected to your business, because the minute you start getting emotionally connected,
Mm.
you're going to do everything and anything to make sure it happens. And there's a lot of mistakes that can be made then over there.
Very true. I was speaking to the very person I said to you about, owner of Bla, and she mentioned two very important points. She said, one is when you're navigating your costs, you really need to make sure that you're giving yourself a salary as well.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
keep in mind that your capital, you have a sufficient stock of capital. Do you agree to that? That before
I
starting?
completely agree. For certain industries, the capital should be at least to cover expenses for 6 months. And for certain industries, the capital should be at least, this is the bare minimum, 3 months to cover the expenses. That's one point. The other point, also, which your friend or the person you know from Bla rightly said, is pay yourself salary. If you don't pay yourself salary and show that as an expense, you're starting off on the wrong foot completely. I mean, yeah, okay. First 6 months you can be like, okay, it's my own, so let me try it 6 months without my salary.
Mm.
But max 6 months. I mean, I would do it from day one. That's a different story.
Yeah.
Because if you're working full time on it, you got to get paid from day one. If you got people in place and you're just having meetings and advising them or consulting them, then for the first 6 months you don't take any salary, even as a consultant, for example.
Mm. Mm.
And then 6 months on later, you got to do that because you are still doing some amount of work towards
Mm.
it, and then see if your business is making profitable sense or not.
Very true. Thank you so much, Hitesh. It's been a pleasure chatting with you, and thank you for sharing these insights. It means a lot, and I really enjoyed it. I'm sure the listeners will. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Knock, knock. Are you still here? Well, I'm super happy that you are. Thank you so much for watching and tuning in. Please do like, share, and subscribe to Karishma Connect across platforms. And I look forward to bringing you many more such amazing stories from around the world. If you've got one, please do get in touch. Lots of love.